Hey guys, it's Will here, and I'm joined by Sam tonight.
No, he's not.
Okay, Sam's gone, that's fine, whatever. He's back, excellent. So yeah, this is going to be probably our penultimate battle report of this edition. We've still got Tale of 4 Gamers to do, but tonight is going to be our last non-Tale of 4 Gamers bat rep of 7th edition. Sad face.
Not really, 8th ed looks awesome.
Yeah, happy face, 8th ed is coming. So tonight we're doing a little bit of an experiment, as it were. Sam, this was your idea, so what is it?
Basically, so we're going to take a casual list that we wouldn't normally play, and then sort of have the game, see what's what, see what we like, what we don't like, and then in 8th ed play as close to the same list as possible, with the new rules, point values and stuff.
Yes.
And see how the new comparison contrasts.
So yeah, it's comparing and contrasting essentially the same army matchup in the two different editions, or as close as we can get to the same matchup. So what you brought tonight?
Tyranids.
Hey, and I've seen the list already. At least it's not a beardy, cheesy tournament Tyranid list with multiple flyrants. It's a casual enough Tyranid list, and I brought my orks. So.
I don't believe we've ever done Tyranids versus orks.
I don't think we have. That's part of the reason we chose this matchup, because they're armies that are out of favour in this edition on the whole anyway, apart from that one specific Tyranid build. And in all the time we've been doing these bat reps, I don't think we've ever gone toe-to-toe orks versus nids. So
it's happening.
It's happening.
The War versus the Omnoms.
Yes, it'll be two armies that want close combat in an edition that wants shooting. Anyway, let's go and take a look at these armies. Okay, here we go with my 1750 point orc list. As ever, running my Evil Sun's Call to Speed, and we start down here with my Warboss. Warboss in Mega Armour, no other upgrades. I think I kept him nice and simple, just the Mega Armour on there. And he's running with a unit of knobs. Was originally going to bring Mega Knobs tonight, but yeah, may have accidentally left them at home, so running a unit of knobs instead. 2 Power Claws and the War Banner in there. And these are really expensive. They're going to need a points drop in the next edition, I think, to make them remotely good. As I say, they're only in as a stopgap because I left my Mega Knobs at home. Then I got my my Pain Boy. He's going to be running with them. And they've got a heavy support choice battle wagon. Got the ram on there, and we got the 2 big shooters on top. Second battle wagon with the same loadout, but this time I've got a mob of 20 boys in there, featuring Knob with Boss Pole and Power Claw. Then I've got 3 smaller mobs of boys in trucks, so these ones and the ones on the end. I've got big shooters and shooters, and the knobs don't have the Power Claw upgrades on there, but they do have Boss Poles. One in the middle is 11 guys with sluggers and choppers with a knob with a Boss Pole and Power Claw. And I've got my my second elite choice, 10 Tank Busters, no knob or other upgrades in there, and they're riding in, this is actually a truck. It looks like a looted wagon, but I run it as a truck because I don't actually have the rules for a looted wagon nor the points. And then almost finishing off the army here with 2 mobs of bikes, 5 in each, knob, boss pole, power claw, standard sort of Evil Sun's loadout there. And then my Dakajet. Wasn't sure if he's going to be worth the points, but there's a Flying Hive Tyrant across the table from me, so I'm going to need something with some decent skyfire. There we have it, 1750 points of orcs. And here's Sam's Tyranids. As we said in the introduction, there are a few choices in here that aren't considered optimum in this edition, but that's because we want to try everything out and have some variety in the lists. Plus, Sam's Power Gaming Nid list would eat through my orcs in 2 turns. So we've got Flying Hive Tyrant there, still a standard inclusion for all Tyranid lists, but just the one today. Then we've got 30 Termagants with Death Spitters. I don't think he's got any Devourers in there, and they're backed up by a Tervagon. Then over here we've got 3 Tyranid Warriors with the Heavy Venom Cannon, sorry, just Venom Cannon. And I think that is about 20 Hormagaunts there with Toxin Sacks. Then we've got a unit of Gene Stealers. Don't normally see these in a Tyranid list. He usually saves them for his Genestealer cult list, but here we are. There's like about 12 of them there, maybe 10, can't quite count on camera, but yeah, Genestealers. Lictors, another thing you don't see very often, but something Sam was keen to try out. And then Venom Thrups are a much more common addition. He's got a pair of them. Brooder 2 Carnifexes with Crushing Claws, so combat fexes rather than DAC fexes. That's interesting. And then this Trigon Prime out the back here. I think he's running him as a Prime anyway. He's certainly modelled as one. If he's not, I will tell you when we start the game. But yeah, there we have it, 1750 points of Hive Fleet Kraken. Okay, so we are all set up and deployed. We rolled for mission and got Spoils of War, so it's the one where you can steal your opponent's objectives, which I think with this fast-moving list suits me quite nicely. Clustered the majority of my army over to this side where more of the objectives were, because we've got one there, one there, one there. I think there's one round here somewhere, one there, and the final objective's over there, so I put one truck out to get that. But yeah, the bulk of my force, battle wagon load of boys, 2 trucks worth of boys, bikes, all sort of on this flank, with the Knobs, second bike squad, and tank busters in the middle. These 2 guys trying to get some cover. Tyranids deployed opposite. Lictor's infiltrated right over here to get towards objective 6. He's got his Trigon in reserves, and I've got my Dakajet in reserves. Genestealers infiltrated down here, but we're a little bit short of places to go, so they've not really got much closer. Big blob of Gaunts. Tervigon near the Gaunts. Flyron behind the trees to try and get some protection before he gets off the ground, because at this point I've got first turn. Also got the Venom Thrups in there to give him good coverage. Carnifex is on the flank, and Hormagaunts going forward as fast as he can. So, like I say, at the moment I've got first turn, but Sam needs to roll to seize the initiative. Sam, you're going to seize the initiative? Oh! Last time I played Sam in this edition, and he's seized the initiative. Here we go, Tyranid, turn 1. Okay, so having seized the initiative, the Tyranids swarmed forward. The Hormagaunts got a particularly good run move, so they're pretty much on the halfway line already. And as expected, his infiltrating units moved up to grab their respective target objectives. Hive Tyrant was the main unit to do anything, managing to wreck this truck with his Devourers. That gave him first blood. Luckily these guys passed their pinning check, although one of them did die. I need to remove one of them because I had to use mob rule to survive there. So first blood for the Tyranids. He also had secure objective 2, which is one of the ones in the back, I think, right under there. Yeah, he had recon, which was scored easily, and he almost got domination, last objective being under here somewhere, but he discarded that, having not scored it. So no opportunities for me to steal objectives this turn, and that is the end of Tyranid turn 1, with the Nids leading 3 points to 0. So, not ideal objectives for the start of my turn. Objective 2 was under the Tervigon, and behind enemy lines was going to be pretty tough on the first turn with this list. So, it was all about doing what orcs do best and just getting forward and into the fight. So, on this flank here, I was a little cautious because we had those Genestealers, so rather than trying to charge them, pushed up my battle wagon down the flank and shot them, and shot with these 2 shooter boys mobs who were holding back, and that worked rather well. Killed 6 of the 10 Genestealers, leaving just 4 left alive, which is pretty good. That's neutralised them as a threat. These vehicles pushed forward, and the truck and the bikes pushed forward on that, so that was the bikes from here came across to there, and the bikes from here pushed forward. Shooting phase, apart from the Genestealers already mentioned, I also managed to kill a couple of Hormagaunts with the shooting from the guys in this truck and the bikes, although that was mitigated by the Venom Thrups in a very nice position in the centre there. And the Tank Busters managed to take a wound off the Hive Tyrant, but he passed his grounding check. I then put 3 wounds onto the Lictors with the bikes, before charging in there with the boys and the bikes, and despite losing 4 boys on the way in, managed to wipe the lictors out. I then got really good consolidation rolls, which allow me to pull my bikes back and my boys forward to screen the bikes from a potential Carnifex countercharge if such a thing happens. Bikes in the middle didn't fare so well. Hormagaunts with their toxin sacks managed to kill 2, and I lost 1 on the charge from a dangerous terrain test. I did win the combat in the end, but at too high a cost, and those guys aren't breaking anytime soon because they are well within Synapse range. So points wise, I only got Blood and Guts, and I'm going to discard Secure Objective... Oh, I can't discard Secure Objective 2 because of the mission, so I'm going to discard Behind Enemy Lines. Anyway, that was it for turn 1, and we have that rather funky looking Trigon to turn up. No, he's staying underground for now. Here we go with Tyranid, turn 2. Okay, so as we went into the second Tyranid turn, Sam had Witch Hunter, Hungry for Glory, and Harness the Warp, and also I was holding Secure Objective 2, which he was easily going to nick, because it was right over the back here. Now the unit that nicked that were 9 spawned Termagants from last turn, and then he spawned another 9 here. So that Termagant's doing pretty well. 2 solid spawnings and no doubles yet. Then he pushed up the majority of his guys, so his Termagants came forward, Venomthrops, Warriors, Carnifexes, all surged across the table, and the Genestealers ran out of cover. Managed to pull off a charge on the battle wagon, but unfortunately weren't actually able to penetrate the armour. So yeah, slight bad luck on the part of the Genestealers there with their rending claws, but there really just weren't enough of them to do the job. Contrary to what I expected, the Carnifexes didn't go after the bikes. Instead they're pushing up towards the knobs. Needed a 9-inch charge to get in though, which they weren't able to do, so the battle wagon is safe for now. Psychic phase, he only has a single dice. The Tervigon cast Dominion on the Tyranid Warriors, Onslaught on the Tyranid Warriors, which then allowed them to run and shoot, and run they did, and rolled a 1. And then they're shooting at the the truck here with the tank busters in, only did a single hull point. It did immobilise it though, so if the tank busters want to get near their targets, they're going to have to get out and walk. Finished the turn. Oh yeah, he finished off these boys here, shooting from the Tervigon and the Termagants. Killed about 5 of these boys, and the rest fled right off the table. It's a sad day for those cowardly orcs, but there's plenty more where that came from. And then yeah, assault phase, the Venomthrops, never actually seen them charged before, but they're surprisingly good. 3 attacks each, poison 2+, initiative 6. Finished off the bikes, freeing up the Hormagaunts to move forward. So yeah, points wise all he got was Harness the Warp and my copy of Objective 2, so the mission is certainly playing to effect here, and he's discarded both of the other ones because although his Hive Tyrant flew off the board this turn, he's still alive and his Warlord trait allows him to do that. So yeah, that is Tyranid turn 2. Lots going on, but only a single point in the end. Let's see if my Dakajet is going to turn up and join the fun. Yes, here we go. Dakajet coming on. Orc turn 2. So as we start Orc turn 2, the Dakajet flies on, and I called my War this turn, looking to get the most out of the super shooters on there before it gets shot down by the Hive Tyrant next turn. Objectives were Get 'em Boss, which is basically to win a challenge with my War Boss, Ascendancy, and Secure Objective 1. Objective 1 was over here, so a little bit far back, but potentially doable. This was a turn of a lot of disembarkations, so the tank busters disembarked out of the truck into these woods, ready to light up the Carnifexes. Warboss and Knobs got out in the centre, and the boys from this battle wagon here got out, ignoring the Genestealers and focusing instead on the much squidgier Termagants. In fact, only one unit is still embarked, which is this unit of truck boys. Shooting was reasonably effective. The combined firepower of the bikes, Dakajets and tank busters took 3 wounds off one Carnifex and 1 off the other. Unfortunately wasn't able to bring either of them down because the wounds allocated badly. and I killed a few of the termagants before charging in with the boys. Won the combat, but it's about 50-50 in terms of surviving numbers, so that will rage on. However, this battle wagon is grabbing the objective 3. This objective is also still being held by this truck, and that one shot the termagants as well, but didn't do a lot. Over on this flank, firing at the Carnifexes hadn't brought them down, so I thought an assault might. These boys failed their charge, but the bikes got in. I lost 2 bikes, but I put a wound on a Carnifex. Unfortunately, failing my fear test there really cost me. And in the centre, things went much better. The Warboss and the Knobs got in on both the Venom Thrups and the Tyranid Warriors and cut them down for only a single wound in return. Painboy was earning his keep there, but it's really all about those power claws, just snipping through the big monsters. So points-wise, that gives me secure objective 1, because my consolidation was just enough to get in on there. And I also managed to grab enough objectives for ascendancy. So that is 2 points, giving me 3 in total. And we're now going into Tyranid turn 3 with a potential Tervigon arriving. No, once again, he's going to wait it out for another one. Here we go, Tyranid turn 3. Okay, Tyranid turn 3, and his objectives were Big Game Hunter, Secure Objective 1, and Blood and Guts. There's plenty of big game on the board, so hopefully he should be able to do that. Objective 1 was probably the most straightforward. These termagants that spawned on turn 1 came out of the woods, and they're obsec, so they grabbed that. Hive Tyrant returned and was trying to bring down the Dakajet, but as you can see, there's still a Dakajet there. Hive Tyrant had a decent enough round of hits, but struggled to wound, and I jinked and got really jammy and passed all my jink saves. So although I'm jinking, this Dakajet is still alive. Tervigon spawned another 10 termagants, bringing it up to a total of 28 models spawned, but she did get a double this turn, so no more spawning, but that's 28 free models, so you can't complain about that. And the Gene Stealers swooped round out of this cover into combat here. Psychic Phase, he tried to cast Horror on these guys but failed, but did successfully horror these boys, so they are pinned. And I think he also threw out a copy of Dominion to, yeah, the Hive Tyrant got off Dominion, boost his Synapse Bubble. Shooting was pretty ineffective. All of this shot for these guys and totaled 1 wound. I tanked most of them on my Mega Boss, and then any that got through were pretty much picked up by the Painboy. So, yeah, pretty lucky there. These Hormigons considered charging into the trees, but due to their lack of frag grenades, he decided against it because he knew he'd take too many casualties on the way in. Gene Stealers charged into this big combat here, and I've pretty much finished off the Termagants now. There's only 4 left, but the combined weight of the Gene Stealers and the Termagants pulled off another 5 boys, so I think attrition there with the Gene Stealers may just edge that one out. And the Carnifexes had a great time, just pulled through the rest of the bikes for no damage in return. Points-wise, that got him Blood and Guts, and these guys grabbed him 1. He's holding on to Big Game Hunter, because although he didn't score it, there's plenty of suitable big game on the board. Anyway, let's see if the Orks can respond to this in turn 3. So, back up to 3 objectives, Get 'em Boss, Demolition, and 5. So Demolition is going, obviously, and 5 was a nice easy score for this truck. The Tank Buster started the turn by just edging to the edge of the woods to get better line of sight onto the Carnifexes, and the Warboss backed out, originally looking to go towards the Carnifexes. Other than that, it was just a case of manoeuvring to get best line of sight on relevant targets, but the Jink Dakajet flew off. Better to come back on at full effectiveness next turn than to have to jink again this turn. And these boys were pinned, so did absolutely nothing. Tank Busters did their job to perfection. 10 shots, 4 hits, 4 wounds, 2 dead Carnifexes. So bye-bye Fexes. That's a nice big chunk of the army taken down. And combined firepower from this battle wagon, this truck, and this battle wagon managed to finish off the Hormagaunts. The war boss, who had originally been looking to go after the Carnifex, decided then to shoot these termagants, killed one, but then couldn't get into assault because he'd moved the other way. Bit of a pain, but hey, termagants aren't too much of a threat to my boss. However, Gene Stealers are a threat to my boys in combat. As you can see, that squad is down to a single knob. There were 2 boys left alive, but I failed my leadership and mob rule cost me another 2 boys. But rather have him alive to hold these guys up for another turn than have them running and those Gene Stealers free to do what they want. Points wise, that got me just objective 5, because get 'em boss was obviously not going to be an option. I'm actually going to discard that because there's so few characters. That brings me to 4 points, but Sam has 7 points, and most importantly, that Tervigon is about to turn up. And I don't mean Tervigon, I mean Trigon. But here we go with Tyranid, turn 4. Trigon started the turn by popping up right here next to my tank busters. Sam's objectives were Objective 3, Big Game Hunter and Scour the Skies. Objective 3 was over there and was a very simple matter for the Gene Stealers to claim it by finishing off the knob in that combat, but I held them up for a decent amount of time, so I'm not going to complain there. The Gaunts and the Tervigon all swarmed around my Warboss's unit, and these Gaunts moved down towards my tank busters, as did the Hive Tyrant. Hive Tyrant actually shot, well, first he tried to cast the Horror on these guys. I let it go through and passed the leadership test, so yay, that was lucky. And the only significant powers he got off that turn were Dominion and Onslaught. The Onslaught only gave an extra inch to these guys before they shot into the tank busters. In total, I lost about half the tank busters to fire from the Tervigon, Termagants, and Trigon. Sorry, I keep calling that Tervigon. It's a Trigon. I know it's a Trigon. I even painted that model. I should know what it's called. But yeah, they passed their leadership test, thankfully, so they're still around. But the Hive Tyrant was able to wreck the truck with shooting, so that got him Big Game Hunter. He actually did like 5 penetrating hits to it, most of which got through, and it eventually exploded, killing one guy from here. In the assault phase, things were nice and simple. The Gene Stealers just ate through that to score that. So that's Big Game Hunter and secure Objective 3. So 2 nice points there for the Tyranids as we head into the 4th Orc turn. So drew no prisoners this turn, which is always a good objective to have, and I've also got Witch Hunter, which with these Psychers on the board might have given me a chance. Wanted to line up a charge for my war boss to the Tervigon. Had to clear away some of these Gaunts, which the Dakar Jet did, but then my war boss failed his charge, so no fight there today. These boys down here and their truck did manage to finish off the Gene Stealers though to give me a kill, but the battle wagon couldn't tidy up the Termagants for another point. Over here, the tank busters and the boys over there focused on the newly arrived Trigon, and I must try to remember the Trigon's name. Did a couple of wounds to it and then got in the charge, but these guys failed their fear test, which meant they suffered a nasty amount of casualties from the hits and then couldn't really hit back very effectively, so in the end only put a single wound on this guy. Managed to hit him with a melter bomb, but it rolled a 1, so Trigon is still very much alive. He's only got 2 wounds left, but yeah, I lost the combat, but thankfully both units held, so at least he's not going to be rampaging across the board. So points are just accumulating too slowly here. Got no prisoners for 1, and I realised I couldn't discard Get 'em Boss last turn, so I'll have to discard it this turn. But yeah, that leaves me with just not enough points as we head into the 5th Tyranid turn. 'Tis a sad, sad day for the War. Sam drew Kingslayer this turn and focused pretty much all his efforts on achieving just that. The only unit that didn't focus on my war boss was this Tervigon who was locked in combat, Trigon that was locked in combat, and this little gaggle of Gaunts who came down and shot one boy from here, didn't do a lot. But yeah, the 3 mobs of Gaunts, the Hive Tyrant and the Tervigon, all focused their fire on the war boss and his mob. killed all bar the war boss and the pain boy, and then they just got mugged in combat. So many attacks, just too many saves even for mega armor to make. So yeah, that is my war boss dead, and a good point for Sam there. In fact, a good 3 points, because he got a 6 on the D3. He is still holding, though, 2 objective markers, 5 and 4. So hang on, my camera cable is caught up on the Turvagon. Trigon. 4 is there, and 5 is there. So I've still got some chance for some points next turn, but yeah, things are not looking good for the orcs. Okay then, so this turn I had secure 4, Witch Hunter, and overwhelming firepower. So 4, I pushed my battle wagon up here to try and grab that. Sam also had a copy of that, so I was looking to steal that, as well as stealing a copy of 5. These boys here in their truck dackered into those termagants, finished them off to get me the overwhelming firepower point. And I thought this battle wagon had this until in combat all of these termagants just beat down the pain boy and then got a good consolidate, just close enough to obsec objective 4 away from me, saving him 2 points. So I scored 2 that turn. In this combat these guys stuck around despite losing another 3 to the Turvagon. Trigon, sorry, Trigon, not Turvagon. They do another wound to him, so he's on his last wound now. But at this point we're looking at 7 points to 11. And Sam needs to roll to see if the game ends. Yay! Game over. Okay then. Thanks a lot, Sam. Good game. Tyranid victory. Okay then, so after the battle me and Sam shot a proper 4-minute post-game segment talking about what happened, but unfortunately the file got damaged, so there was no audio on it, which was a bit of a nuisance. So yeah, I'm just shooting this bit as a replacement for that, so sorry you're stuck with just me. Firstly, well done Sam, nice win. You beat me fair and square there. I thought in the early part of the game I might have had a good chance, because I managed to get off some key charges, and the Trigon, yes, I got the name right this time, didn't turn up for about 3 turns. But yeah, unfortunately the resilience of the Tyranids was just a bit too much for the orcs, and I got worn down by attrition. So now what I want to do is just have a bit of a look at 4 key points I've picked out from that battle that would be very different under the new rules, and it would certainly be interesting to see how they're going to go in the second game. So the first one is the impact of my vehicles. So I'm running 2 battle wagons, 4 war trucks and a Dackerjet in that, and we'll forget the Dackerjet for now because that's primarily a shooting unit, but the rest of them are transports. And those transports are very good for getting me into combat and allowed me to pull off the charges as and when I wanted them. But other than that, they didn't really achieve a lot. They were firing off odd shots, but not, you know, not in any great reliability or accuracy, and so they maybe weren't quite worth their points. Now, from what I've seen in the new edition, vehicles are going to cost more, but they're going to be a lot harder to kill. So for one thing, they're not going to be the easy kills that my trucks were there, but also because they're actually going to have attacks, they might be able to do something in combat. Now, a few people I've seen are a bit kind of miffed about the idea of non-walker vehicles fighting in combat, but when you look at the way the stats are, they tend to have high strengths and low weapon skills, so it's not supposed to represent them like actually swinging bits around, but they're just simply trying to run you over, which is an unreliable but potentially effective if it hits method of doing damage with a vehicle. So yeah, I can see the logic there. Particularly looking forward to how it's going to work with orcs, with the various upgrades for vehicles that are obviously going to give them better reliability in melee, things like death rollers, wrecking balls, stuff like that, that is going to potentially mean my vehicles are more than just a method for getting my boys across the table. They're actually going to make an impact and be worth their points. Second thing was something that affected Sam a lot more than me in that game, but has screwed me in past games, is the way you roll for reserves. So at the moment you roll, it's random, you'd have no control over when they turn up. in the new edition, you can generally choose to bring your reserves on from the leaks I've seen. The Trigon in that game suffered badly from not actually getting to turn up till turn 4, and would have had a bigger impact on the game had it turned up earlier, and he's going to be able to do that in the new edition because he can pop up when he wants, and something can even come up behind him out of his burrow, so that's pretty cool. Looking forward to seeing how much of an impact on the game that has. Next thing was the way the wound allocation worked on the Carnifexes. So I'd done, I think, 6 or 7 wounds to the Carnifexes before one got removed, because I didn't do them all at the same time from the same direction, so they were both on like 2 wounds, and then I hit the squad again and finally killed one, and then the other one was quick behind. With the new wound allocation to units where you have to take off whole models first, that would have meant the Carnifexes would have been significantly reduced earlier on in the game, and would have had potentially less of a threat to my orcs. You know, the firepower that I was contributing to them was actually going to have meant something. And finally, initiative. So initiative as a stat is gone in the new edition, which as an orc player I'm quite liking, because I'm thinking, how many times, not just in that game but throughout the years, have my boys got across the table, charged in, and I've lost half my number before I've even got a swing. And it's just like, seriously, I've made the effort to be the active player, to be the one pushing across the board, getting into combat, and then we just die before we get to swing, particularly as our best weapon is a power claw, which goes at initiative 1 anyway. So I'm looking forward to actually, you know, really getting some meaning out of the charge. Plus, orcs are getting strength 4 base. Strength 4 base. No need to worry about furious charge. So yeah, should be very interesting as we go on to the second game. Not quite sure when that's going to be up yet. It'll certainly be very soon after the release of 8th if I don't get it uploaded before, but we'll just have to wait and see on that. Anyway, thanks a lot guys, and I'll see you again soon. Bye.